Hey everybody, I'm going to do a quick look at the rhythm editor just for people that are new to it, just to give you an idea of what's in there, what you can do, and the features, etc., etc. The idea behind the rhythm editor is basically to get us away from using that crap rhythm converter that Boss give you in order to get custom drum patterns into your RC-600 or your 505. Hopefully people will find the internal editor in the RC editor much easier to use. So anyway, I've started up my software, RC editor. I will connect to an offline copy of my stuff. I'll press F8 to take me to the rhythm editor. Okay, I get a little message that says that this is still a work in progress. So if you rely on your file, make a backup. Right, so here is your basic RC editor screen. I'll just expand it so we can all see what's in there. So down the side here, you've got all your tracks. Which if I click on them, I'll step through them. So that's your tracks. You have a browse button here if you wanted to load another rhythm file. So even though I'm connected to this location, I could go off and say, you know what, I want something else. So if I go in and just load a default one, okay, so there you go. This is what you'll probably have, just simple beat. And this is what you get if you reset your editor. You just get this one beat, and this one beat sounds incredibly funky. It sounds like this. Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats. And that's what that sounds like, and it's great. Right, so as you'll probably know from using the looper, your custom parts have different variations. They've all got an intro. That intro can be any number of bars. You have your variation, which can be any length. You have a fill, which must be 1 bar. Then you've got variation B and the fill, variation C and the fill, variation D and the fill, and then you've got the ending, and the ending can be any number of bars as well. You can have up to 40 different custom tracks in your rhythm file, and each track can have up to 999 MIDI notes. So that's the limitations. So you get 40 tracks, and the total number of notes in the track can't exceed 999 MIDI notes. So what can we do in here? So I've showed you how to browse up here. Then you've got a bit for shifting a track up and shifting a track down. So if you want to change the order of your tracks, you can do it there. I can copy a track, so I can then paste it later. I can save the changes to a track, so it pushes it back into the rhythm.rco. I can reload, so it brings it back in, kind of gets rid of any of the changes that I've done. I can delete a track. I can add a new track. I can import a MIDI file to create a track, and then export an existing track as a MIDI file. So that's these top buttons here. So shift up, shift down, copy, paste, save, reload, delete it, add a new track, import MIDI, export MIDI. Right, so if I want to create a new track, I can just go like that, new track. And what it does is it just basically copies the last track you had selected and gives it, a new name. So that's this track in here. If I wanted to change this intro, so going if I wanted to make it a bit more exciting, I could go off and I could just click here, and that creates new notes. So now if I play it, boom, 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 which is cool. And then I say, oh yeah, but I want to get really fruity. So if I press this V here for velocity, I could change all the velocities up and down like that. It changes all the notes using this little orange slider. Or if I wanted to change individual ones, I could just go and then just drag down individually, and that changes the velocity of an individual note. So now when I play it, it's going to go, loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet as it goes. Which is all very, very cool. So on each individual instrument, you've got an X that deletes the instrument. You've got copy, paste. You have a clear to get rid of all the notes. So I can press that. It should delete all the notes. It doesn't. I'll fix that later. And then you've got a reload that reloads them back in. So that's what we've got on there. We've got a mute button. If we're doing the playback, we can mute it. And we've got a solo button, so we can solo it. We're in there. If we wanted to add another instrument, then we can just press the plus button and we get a new one coming down. We can then choose whatever we want that to be. So we want that to be a ride, and we'll just go there and there and there and there, and then play that. So you get the idea. If I wanted to just see these two things here playing, I could just select the top. Those two are selected. It just plays what's in there, which is good. Select all of it, it will play that, which is good. And then if I press this button here, it deselects. So this is the instruments, which is in there. If we go down to the bottom, you can notice when I play, you've got this green line that follows along the length of the bar. So that's just, a cursor telling you where on the bars. Above that, you've got a scroller, which allows you to change the bar width. So you can bring it in, stretch it out. So that's useful at certain points. And then over here, at the other side, you've got these two text entries, where it's your playback from tick and your playback to tick. So here it says 0 and 383. If I select the first beat, it goes 0 to 95. You can see that kind of going 0 to 191. If I then change that, you can see it's starting at tick 96, it's going to tick 287. So this is your start and end position based on ticks, which is kind of MIDI concept. Within your RC looper, each beat is you've got 96 ticks in a beat across here. So 0 to 95, let's deselect all that stuff. 0 to 95 just covers all the ticks in here. So this one here will be firing off at 0, and this one here is going to be half a 96. Hey, you do the math. Right, anyway, so that's that. What else can we do? We can click in there to get a metronome. So you hear that kind of ticking along there, metronome. So let me turn down that right bell because it's quite loud. So there's a metronome, which is on there. So the metronome doesn't get recorded when you save the track, but it's there just for playback, just to give you something to get your head around. So that's jolly useful. If I wanted to change the number of bars in something to make it longer, then I could just change it here. So if I said 2, that's now 2 bars long as opposed to 1 bar long. So I now played it. And you can see when I increased it to 2, it basically cloned what was in there before and stuck it on the end. So it uses a little bit of intelligence when you're resizing it. If I then wanted to, I'll tell you what, let's do so. Let's put this to 4, and then kind of zoom it in a little bit. So let's say that this was a really long piece of drums and we said, we just want this to be 1 bar and we want it to be bar 2. So I could go from there to there. So that's me selected all of bar 2. If I then press the crop button, that then chops out everything that was before. So bar 1 goes, and then bar 3 and bar 4 goes, and we then just get a 1 bar in there, cropped to the size that we want. So that's cool. I quite like that. So it's probably worthwhile talking about the main reason behind the rhythm editor. A while ago, I was at a concert, Peter Hook and the Light, and they started playing Blue Monday, which is a classic New Order tune. And I was thinking, that's got some really iconic drums in it, and everybody knows it has. It's something that kind of sticks with you if you kind of lived through it. And I thought it'd be really, really good to throw that in at the end of a set, you know, that drum beat, because just hearing the drum beat would get the crowd going. And then I thought, well, what do I need to do to get that in? I'd need to go off and find the MIDI track that's got everything in it. Then I'd need to find the drum tracks, and then need to separate out the drum track, then need to analyze that, look where all the parts were, then need to import it into Rhythm Converter, and then slice it up using that lovely UI that you get in Rhythm Converter, and then import that into my RC-600. And I just thought that's just a lot of faff, and it's a pain in the arse, and I just didn't want to do it. So hopefully the Rhythm Editor allows us to do most of the stuff that I'd want to do directly, within the software. I don't need to go off to a DAW, DAW, and do it. I can do it in here. So let's see if we can do it. Blue Monday. Okay. So the first thing to do is go off and import the MIDI track. So I went into the interwebs and I found a MIDI file that contains everything in Blue Monday, all the drums, all the synths, the bass line, Peter Hook's bass line, all that kind of stuff is all in there. If I click on that and say open, the rhythm editor is just going to rip out the drums. So it's going to avoid everything that's not channel 10 from, on your MIDI, and ignore that and just bring in just the drums. It sticks in the first bar into the intro. It sticks a couple of bars into the ending, depending on how your ending actually happens. It will work out what's the number of bars it needs to get the ending in there. The intro gets repeated in all your variation fills, and then all your variations, A, B, C, and D, are the entirety of the drum track. So my intro is 1 bar. My first variation is 243 bars. Yeah. If we're thinking about all the bits in Blue Monday, there's some really iconic bass, uh, drum beats in there. So if we start playing this, then the keyboards come in and it's all cool and groovy. So that seems to me to be the first variation that I would want. So I just go off and select from bar 1. I'd probably go up to just there and just get a 2 bar sample, and I'll just press crop. And because none of the other instruments are in these first 2 bars, they just get removed because they don't play anything. So that then becomes the beginning, which is cool. What I'll do is I'll change the actual drums as well. Am I in USB mode? Yeah. So because I'm in USB mode, I can change the drum kit and it'll actually play back the real kit. So if I go to the techno kit, what does that sound like? Oh, that's crap. Let's not do that. 808. Yep, that'll do it. Right. So that's me got variation A in there. And then the fill, I think, for that is going to be around about bar 17, if my memory serves me right. You can tell I've looked at this before. So what I'll do is I'll just go to variation B, which has still got all the bars in it. I'll just scroll my little scroll at the bottom and have a scroll through here. Let me see. I think that from there to there can be my variation A fill. So what I'll do is I'll press copy. That's copied that selection. If I then go into my variation A fill, what I'll do is I'll just clear the notes in there, because when I then paste these in, it will combine them with whatever notes are in there. So I'll paste that, and there's my fill. That's cool. Then my actual variation B, I want that to be from like bar 18. So let's go up to bar 18 and we'll take 2 bars from there. So bar 18 beat 1, bar 19 beat 4, and we'll crop that. So this will be our variation B, goes like. Which is cool. Then for variation B fill, I want the iconic doof, 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 doof. Yep, we all know that bit, or you should. If you don't, shame. So let's go into here. Let's find my doof, 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 doofs. There we go. That's in there. So if we want to preview that, you know, I could go into there and then just go to there, and that should give me enough to hear me doof doofs. Then goes into boom, boom, boom. Yep. Anyway, cool. That's the bits I want. So let's deselect, and then I'll just select those 3 beats there. Copy them. Go into variation B fill. I'll clear that off. I'll select just these 3, and I'll paste in there, and that gives me my, which is cool. Now the reason I selected the 3 and then did paste instead of selecting like all 4, if I selected all 4 and did paste, what would happen is the editor would paste in at the first 3, and then it would start repeating again at the 4th one. You know, so imagine I'd selected those 3 beats and then pasted it into a selection that contained, I don't know, 16 beats. It would basically replicate it. It would go, you know, it'd paste it and then say, oh, I've still got space, paste it again, paste it again, paste it again. So that's how that works. So you just need to make sure that when you're pasting, you understand that, and you'll get the results that you desire. So there you go. That's cool. Then variation C, we'll probably take that from bar 35 onwards. Let's see, 35, 36. Okay, so I've got that in my window. And that's my dog barking, if you heard that. Shh, be quiet, dog. There we go, 36. I'll crop that, and that becomes my variation C. There we go. I'll just save this. Save, are you sure you want to save Blue Monday? Yes, I do. So if we go back to the intro is that. Variation A is a repeat, basically the intro, lasting for 2 bars. Then we've got a fill, which then takes us into variation B. Variation B fill is our doof duffs. Variation C. There you go. So there you go. I mean, that's basically why I built the rhythm editor, just to make it a lot easier. Now, there's still going to be bits that don't work. I'm working on things constantly to try and make them better. Let me know what works, what doesn't work. But that's a basic overview of the things in the rhythm editor. Hopefully we'll make it better over time. It will work with your RC-600, your RC-505 Mark II. If you've got another RC looper pedal which uses the rhythm converter, this might work. I don't know. Don't buy the software on the off chance it does work. Send me one of your rhythm files. I'll see if it works first, and if it works, I'll let you know, and then maybe you could use this as well for creating your beats. Yeah, that's it. Catch you later, chaps. Nice one. I'm out of here.